No shortage of bullish sentiment on Palantir today. With the stock flying up 13% as of this recording during market hours, it looks like also Dan Ives, the big bull for Palantir, thinks this is only the beginning and small clue actually of what Palantir can be. And in Dan Ives' latest investor note, he marks the official announcement of Palantir making it into the S&P 500 index, and as a highly anticipated moment that investors have been waiting for the past year. And he's also quoted saying that the profitability profile of this story has significantly been bolstered with this another validation moment for the Palantir story. So no doubt about that if you followed the social media about Palantir that this has been building up. And he does point out too that the skeptics have underestimated the profitability and cash flow potential of Palantir as a business. So from his perspective, and he sees this also as their AI platform and commercial business being the core drivers of their business model going forward. And this has also been the narrative for a while where folks see this being how Palantir actually expands further, even if the government business is still doing solid. With AIP, he notes how their customers are finding value with the tools and guidance because they're taking on real world scenarios and use cases. This has been a major focus with boot camps and AIP-con events where we know AI is still being figured out for these companies. So businesses need to figure out and just get ready in solving actual things for them and then working along the way. And having the ability to utilize human operators with visibility of the execution and rules, as well as that history of automation while being kept in the loop of approving AI, this proposed action seems to be the way that is actually palatable for these businesses taking on the investment here. And talking about commercial earlier too, he still does expect momentum on their government side with the continuance of the themes around safely, securely, and responsibly deploying AI. And this has been decades in the building with their work alongside the US government, building tools and platforms that have met their needs at the highest levels of security clearance, like IL6. And no doubt commercial is benefiting today from this upfront work. And then Dan Ives going forward believes this is just the start of a multi-year cycle for Palantir, and that's a continually significant deal flow on the back of AIP, where organizations are continuing to add on this capability. And he says S&P 500 index inclusion is an important moment overall, just because it marks the era of enterprise growth and profitability expected over the next few years. And as noted in the title validation he expects, with this new information, Wedbush still does keep an outperform rating and $38 price target for Palantir. Now, it's not a surprise to me Dan would be one of the early and first ones to comment on this significant event, and probably Mariana too from Bank of America will be referenced later on in this important moment well in her coverage for Palantir. But now I think we may start to see some more shifts in the overall coverage of Palantir just in general, just because qualifying for the index and making it in are pretty indicative of a company, even if you don't like them, has a reason to at least to be looked at a little more closely. So over time, we'll see if analysts start to jump on the bandwagon and maybe give Palantir not necessarily higher price targets or even buy ratings, but at least a fair shot of being analyzed as a company instead of quickly being glossed over as, say, a consultancy or not a true AI play just because they aren't building the chips or the LLMs. I think that's a huge part of the story where this can prompt people to look just a little bit closer and how Palantir is actually operationalizing AI, keeping humans in the loop, and maybe seeing the awesome things that customers are finding valuable and making it look attractive. And that's to give Palantir a chance and to eventually sign on to a longer term customer contract. But what are your thoughts below? And I'll see you in the next video.